welcome. The show will be starting in just a few moments. Just a few moments. We have to take care of some technical things here, but after that, the show will be starting in just a few. So, if it's the first time to your show, I want you to know that this is a safe place. Everyone is welcome here and welcome to ask any question that you wish. Also, remember that you can respond by hitting any of the emojis that are across the bottom, the three emojis, which is the laugh, the clap, and the party sound. And the easiest way to ask a question by text, or if you want to come to the stage, is just hit that ask button, just the ask button, and you can type in what you want and press send. And again, the show will be starting probably within the next 40 seconds or so. So please be patient, because I don't want you to go anywhere. Not a doggone place.
The show is about to begin.
And as the lovely lady said, stay tuned. The show is about to begin. So I will be back with you in just a second, and you will see me on video, and you can interact with me, which is what I look forward to. So thanks, and see you in a minute. Welcome to Poetic People Fighting Racism, Double PFR. I'm your host, Anthony Cordova, Tony C., the man about love. I'm also the co-host of I'm right here on Fireside. Here at Double PFR, we discuss racism and the caste system in the United States of America through poetry, through art, through music, using the voices of our souls, using the strength of our ancestors to heal the fractured country we live in and die in. Here at Double PFR, all souls are welcome, all people are welcome. Welcome to discuss the racism we live in. Come on in. We'll put our arms around you, providing a safe place for you, a home to protect you, a place where you're surrounded by hope, where you're surrounded by compassion, where you're surrounded by empathy, forgiveness, and love. And I'd love for you to come in with me, to stand by me, to see what we can do to change this country, to change the people that live in this country. I welcome you to Double PFR with love, with so much love. So welcome to this episode. I believe it's episode number 16. See what we are. Question, what are we? What are we in this country? Who knows? Who knows? I do want to thank everyone that's here, and let's see if I can see everyone's name. Is the first one, who are you, Sherry? What's that first one? I can't see it for good.
You have Cheryl.
Oh, we have Cheryl, and then I think is that, see how I do that? That's because I have bifocals.
Then you have Truman.
Truman.
Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
And Carol.
Welcome. I am so happy that all of you are here. And this is why. I want to remind you something. If I'm not fitting your screen properly, just pinch it down, and it will come right into frame like it's supposed to. That's something Fireside has created, so I try to remind people to do that. Now, getting back to you, the audience, the fabulous audience that is here tonight on a Saturday night, which is amazing because you could be out partying, doing other stuff instead of being here, listening to me talk about racism and the caste system in the United States. But just you being here. I like to say you're a everyday activist. Just going to a show here on Fireside that we talk about some of the issues of this country when it comes to race. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal that you're here because you don't have to be here. I know this. You don't have to be there here. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. And you doing your part as an everyday activist. So that's cool. Jill, did you have something to say? No? Jill is my producer, my wife. She handles things and keeps me on track so everything runs smoothly. So, if you haven't been to this show before, I have written a manuscript, a book of poetry. And the whole topic and everything in the book of poetry is about racism and the caste system here in the United States. Uh, but it also has love in it. So there are, towards the end of the book, there's a lot of things about love and how we need to learn to love one another because we actually all are part of each other. So, what I usually do, and just to let you know, anytime during this show you want to ask a question, just feel free to do that. Again, the easiest way to do that is just hit that ask button. And if you'd want to come to stage, you don't have to come to stage on video. You can just have audio if you want, or you can just type your message in a text. So that's pretty easy. No pressure here. The other thing is when it comes to asking me a question, I don't care how silly a person might think the question is or naive the person. I don't care. I am here to answer anything you want to ask about racism or things you wanted to know about how to interact or with people of color in this country, or how why do we feel a certain way about certain things. Like a typical question was, well, why don't you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps? Some of us can do that, and some of us cannot. So questions like that, just ask, just ask. So what I do is now tonight I'm going to do something a little different. I usually will do one poem that comes from the book I have written, Living and Dying. So I usually do one poem about that. And then I open the floor, the stage to questions or comments or anything about that poem. And if you have no comments or questions, that's okay. It's not a problem. I love audience participation, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's okay. Again, this is a safe place, no pressure, no pressure at all. Um, Also, tonight, I'm going to do a poem that I wrote that is not from that book of poetry. Um, and it's something different because I think I need to show people that I don't just write about racism. It's not the only thing I write about. I write about many things. I write about love. I write about depression. And usually it is going to be a poem that reflects either how I see the world or how I feel about myself during the time I wrote the poem. So first, before I get into it, is there anything anyone wants to say, a question or anything before I get started? And if not, I'm going to get started with the poem. Now, the poem I'm doing tonight is called Victims. And I usually do these poems with music playing behind it, but on this one, I'm not going to. I'm just going to read it with no music. Um, there's a phrase that I use, and I use it in a lot of my poems, and I use it throughout the book, which is the blue and white eyes. Now, the blue and white eyes are not necessarily people that have blue eyes. What I'm representing when I say, so anytime you hear me say the blue and white eyes, I'm not talking about people with blue and white eyes. I'm actually talking about the segment of people in this country that are Caucasian and have European blood, and they believe their European blood is superior than anyone else's blood. So, blue blood, they call it blue blood running through their veins. So, it's about feeling superior because of your European blood or your whiteness. So, and the white part of it represents seeing the world through a Caucasian's person's eyes in this country, because that is the type of thing we get. Well, pull yourself up from the bootstraps. That's all you got to do. It doesn't matter what condition you live in. Just pull yourself up and you're good, which is not necessarily accurate. So, again, tonight I'm going to do the poem called Victim. It's about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes. So I will try to get through this quickly. Quickly. Okay. So here it is. It's called Victim from my book, Living and Dying. It's an elaborate system the blue and white eyes created, wherein we are outcasts, cast out, and kept out. We are the victims of bats and bricks and fire hoses, the victims of public buses and the seats we can't sit in. We are the victims of white-only signs and nighttime crimes by hooded men, the victims of police dogs and racial slurs and restaurant sit-ins. We are the victims of burning crosses in sundown towns. We are the victims of slavery and crimes against humanity. The victims of systemic racism and America's caste system. We are the victims of the days we live and die in, dying to see the days we die less in. We are the victims praying to see the day that we can see without seeing the hatred we live in. We are the black lives they see as less than, just living and dying for the color of our skin. We are victims of this country of lies that we live in. We are victims, it seems they can't stop killing, like an addiction, like an inclination to kill black citizens for the melanin in our skin, the darkness of our skin. We are the victims of the blue and white eyes and their hatred for black lives in this country of lies we live and die in. We are the victims. We are the victims. And it's not all in our heads. It's an elaborate system the blue and white eyes created, and it's not all in our heads. We are the victims of this country of lies where we live and die. And it's not all in our heads. We are the victims. We live and die in this country of lies. Too many die by racist minds. We are the victims of the country we live and die in. We are the victims. And that's it for that poem. That is it. So, thank you. This is when I open the floor up if you want to ask any questions about the poem. And then, usually at this point, if no one has any questions, I go back through the poem and I take key phrases and go over them so I can explain what I meant by the phrase or the line and why it's true of what I wrote. But right now, I'm not going to do that. Right now, I'm going to read the other poem that I wrote that is not from Living and Dying. I'm going to do that. And once I finish with that one, it's lighter, it's faster, it's about a minute and 30 seconds. And that one's going to have music to it this time, just to show I don't only write about racism. Okay, I don't. I write about many things. And I also have a novel that I'm working on. So I'm not a one trick pony. I don't only write poetry. So that is with that. Now, after I do this poem, then I'm going to go back to the other poem, Victims. I'll go back to that and then I will, get into that poem a little bit more in detail. So here we go. The clouds are not there when trees open their arms, when the wind is kissing my skin, when water can't fall from the sky, the earth holds me, the ground meets me. I feel the stability as the world keeps turning. I see the burning of dreams, the sound of heaven is coming. Holding my arms open, I wait for wings to greet me. But time is not right for me. Time is not right for me. I feel trees pointing me in a new direction. Seeing the life that consumes me, my struggle to destiny, and I am weary. My knuckles are bloody and I bleed every day. I try to run, but my feet are cut by shards of dreams. When will it end? When will it begin? Living balanced on a pin. But when the sky is open, clouds are not there. Trees open their arms when the wind is kissing my skin, when water can't dance from the sky, when I keep embracing my lie. I have the comfort of the sky. I have the comfort of the sky. I have the comfort of the sky. Yeah. All right, that is the other poem. Woohoo! Comfort of the Sky. I wrote that many, 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 many years ago, and I am not even going to get into what that poem is about. But it's open to your interpretation, and that's what poetry is. And you can write something and I may have written it a certain way with certain things in mind, but someone else can see it differently and have their own interpretation and put themselves in that poem. So that's why I'm not going to even get into it. But you are welcome to comment or question on that poem also. Everything is open here. Everything is friendly here. Everything is loving here because I do love you all. I love my fellow human beings. I do. I even love the people that hate me because of the color of my skin. I have to have some love for them to even be able to do this show. I have to have love for people that hate me so I can listen to them, so I can have a conversation with them, even though they hate me. They may want me dead. I will still have that conversation That's who I am. That is what I do. So I'm going to get back to the other poem, which is Victims. And I will skip through lines. Let me see. Okay. Yes, Jill.
There's one person who's entered the audience that you haven't
Oh, who is that?
recognized yet,
I haven't
and
seen
that's Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising. Ooh, that's a cool name. Coming out of the fire, the bird of fire. Fire. I love it. I love it. I love it. So welcome. Welcome here. And no, Phoenix Rising, you can chime in whenever you wish. This is a safe place. This is a loving place. So anything you have to say is welcome here. So please feel free. I know you weren't here for the poem Victims, but I'm getting ready to go through it here. So I'm not going to recite the poem again, but I'm going to go through some of the lines. So one of the lines here is that when I say we, I'm talking about African Americans, Black folks, mostly people of color that our ancestors were slaves in this country. So I say we are the victims of bats and bricks and fire hoses. This statement is 100% accurate. 100% accurate. I'm sure you've all seen the footage and the films from the past and all of that. And some of these things still happen today for like almost no reason, just because someone was either bored or someone was having a bad day or someone has their heart filled with hatred and anger just because of the color of someone's skin. And when you really, really think about how ridiculous that is, it's just insane to me. It just is insane. Okay, the next line after that was, we're the victims of public buses, the seats we can't sit in. Again, true. It used to be that a Black person had to sit in the back. There was a line drawn down the back section of the bus, and that's where Black people were supposed to sit. Now, if they sat in front of that line, they could sit there as long as a white person didn't want to sit there. But if a white person got on the bus and wanted to sit there, the Black person would have to get up and move to the back. And if they didn't, the bus driver would stop the bus and he would get the police there and the Black person would be arrested. Now, you may ask yourself, why does that matter? Because we can get on any bus we want now and we don't have to sit in the bus. So why am I talking about it now? Why am I bringing this up now? It doesn't exist anymore. The reason I bring it up is because these things are systemic. So it means it gets ingrained in us. It gets ingrained in your ancestors and my ancestors, if they're living in this country. So even though it wasn't you and it wasn't your parents that lived in this age, but maybe your grandparents lived in this age. So if that is the way they feel, if they feel that they are better than another person because of the color of their skin, being that it's systemic, it's ingrained in their minds. So when one person, a person that's a parent, a grandparent, has that feeling, they just say things around their other loved ones that they don't think about. Like, oh, that's where the black people live. They live on that side of the town. They live on the other side of the tracks, and we live there. And a grandchild or something may say, well, why is that? Why? And the answer may be, well, they're not as good as us. Yeah, well, they're black people, or they they don't make as much money as us, so they have to live on the other side of the tracks. So that's setting up a situation where just a child, when they're young, starts feeling that I'm better than someone else because of the color of their skin. So it does matter. Does matter. So, next line. We are the victims of white only signs and nighttime crimes from hooded men. Now, most of you probably know all about this. And actually, in my lifetime in the South, there were still white only signs. So, white only water fountains, white only bathrooms. And can you imagine? Can you imagine? You just want to go to a public restroom. Just really imagine. Imagine. Well, let's say you're a woman of any color, and you went to go to the bathroom, the restroom, and a person said to you, "You can't use that bathroom." Why not? Because we don't think you deserve to use that bathroom. You're not good enough to use that bathroom. Go around back. So, can you imagine how you would feel if someone told you, you can't use that bathroom because you're a woman? It's insane. So, if that happened today, you would say that's ridiculous. It's a woman's room. I should be able to use it. But no, not you, because we just don't like the way you look. We don't like the shoes you're wearing, so you can't use the bathroom. It's that ludicrous. To me. Now, maybe not to someone else, but to me, it is. And again, these things are systemic, that are passed down through generations. Let me give you myself as an example. To this day, whenever I buy something in a store, and it can be a convenience store, it could be in a gas station, I could buy a pack of gum and I want my receipt. Why do you want your receipt? Because I want to be able to prove that I didn't steal it. Now, you may ask, why would I have to do that? One, my parents taught me that I needed to do that because a person may accuse you of a theft just because of the color of my skin. Now, ask me whether that has ever happened to me. Yes, I have been accused of stealing stuff many times, and while I was an adult. Okay? Hey, upstanding citizen. I have never been arrested. I have never been in any trouble. But this upstanding citizen that has never done anything wrong, has a good job, has a home, drives a decent car, but yet I will still be accused of stealing when I haven't stolen anything. Lately, it's usually some store security theft security, I will still get followed around in certain stores. Just followed around. Sometimes I play tricks on them and, go down one aisle, turn right, and then I stop, and then I go left because they're down at the other end of the aisle trying to follow me from the other end. Why should I have to do that? Why? In this country, land of the free, home of the brave. Why? It's again insane. I'm saying insane a lot because it's just insane to me. It's just insane. Okay, and white only signs and nighttime crimes by hooded men. Okay, you know what that's about. That's about the Ku Klux Klan. Um, and you know what? I'm not even going to get into deep into the Ku Klux Klan because um, there are still really bad things happening committed by the Ku Klux Klan. I live in Georgia. I have been at a traffic light and the Ku Klux Klan is handing out pamphlets about taking back the country. Okay, they're dressed in their robes. They didn't have on any hoods though, but dressed in their robes. And they have a right to do that. That's this country. They have a right to do this. And the Ku Klux Klan still has marches and all of that here in the South, probably in the North too. So what's up with that? They have a right to do that. That's this country. We have a right to free speech, even when it's hatred. We still have that right. Okay, again, here we go. Another line. We're the victims of police dogs and racial slurs and restaurant sit ins. So, again, I'm sure you have seen the footage of back during the civil rights movement where black people could stage a peaceful march, not spreading any hate or anything, just a peaceful march. And they get dog sicked on them and fire hoses and racial slurs screamed at them. To this day, I still have gotten racial slurs screamed at me in my own neighborhood. And I've lived here for 20 years or so. And I still can receive a racial slur from someone in my own neighborhood. And see, the thing is, yeah, I could live here longer than anyone else. But someone that's lived here for 5 years will yell a racial slur out at me. Okay? Racism is alive and well, alive and well. Things aren't as good as people would want to believe. These things I'm telling you are not lies, they're not made up, it's fact. And guess what? The people that yell these racial slurs at me, I still have some love for them. I feel bad for them that they have to do this. I feel bad that they have this hatred raging inside of them. So just think about when you're mad. Everybody is going to get mad about something. And think about how that feels when you're angry. Really tap into that feeling. It doesn't feel good. It's not a good state of mind to stay in. It's not good for your health. So, no, I don't want to hate, even though they hate me. Don't want to do that. Okay, here we go. Another line. We are the victims of burning crosses in sundown towns. So I know you know the deal about burning crosses. The Ku Klux Klan will burn a cross on somebody's lawn, a black person's lawn, uh, to try to run them out of town. Now, the other thing, sundown towns. This has been in existence since black people have been in the United States. Okay. This is something that is over 400 years old. A sundown town is a town that if you're a black person, you don't need to be in that town after sundown. Because if you are probably gonna get lynched. Okay? Probably. Now, you may say, now I know of towns that when I were growing up and stuff that you did not need to be in that town after sundown. No way. You might think it's just a southern thing. But let me tell you, you could be all over New York City, and different boroughs and all of that, different neighborhoods, and there are places that if you are a certain color, you don't need to be there once the sun goes down. And it's still the same in a lot of towns throughout this country. If a black person is there after sundown and the officer sees you just driving, chances are you're going to get pulled over because they don't want any black people there at night. Why? Because, of course, all black people steal. All black people are going to break in someplace and steal something. That's what we do. That's what some people think we do. I've never broken into a house or a store or a bank anywhere. Never. Never. So these things still happen. It's not a thing of the past. Not a thing of the past. This is why so many black males are still being killed. And mostly by officers. And you could say, oh, if he hadn't done anything wrong, he wouldn't have got shot. Well, let's take that. Let's say someone was driving under an influence and he ends up dead because of it. Now, if you look at a person that is Caucasian and they get pulled over for driving under the influence, yeah, they're probably going to get arrested, but they don't end up dead. Okay? They don't. They don't end up dead. But that's what happens to us. Okay, let's move on. You understand we are the victims of slavery. Probably most of you can agree with me on that one. But the next thing I say is we're the victims of slavery and crimes against humanity. Now, the crimes committed on us, these are crimes that shouldn't happen to any human being. Lynching. That shouldn't happen to a human being. Lynching, you haven't done anything, but you get lynched because of the color of your skin. So there's lynching. You get lynched. What else is a crime against humanity? Another crime against humanity is redlining. Now, if you don't know what redlining is, they made it official, but back probably in the 50s and probably before also, um, they would draw red lines around certain neighborhoods on a map. And then black people can only live within that red line in that part of the town. So if a black person tried to buy a house in the nice part of town, it wasn't going to happen. The real estate agent isn't going to show the black person the house. The real estate agent isn't going to, if somebody wanted to rent a house, they're not going to rent to a black person, a person of color, unless they were in that red line area. So a person might say, "Oh, well, that's good. They can live with people that look like them." But it's not really good, because in that red line area, the schools are subpar. Okay, so you're not getting as good an education as other Americans in this country that are not black. So these are the things that kind of pull us down. And I can go on and on and on about living in red line communities. I grew up in a red line community. Okay. Okay. So I know they exist. They still exist. Right here in the town I live in, there was a woman that wanted to move, a black woman, wanted to move to this subdivision with a association. And they kept telling her, nope, nope, nope. The real estate agents, nope, nope, you can't move there. Nope, no, we're not going to sell you the house. Nope, nope, nope. But this lady had a white friend, a good friend they had been friends for years. So the white friend went and bought the house and then sold it to her. So she found a way to get that house that she wanted. Great. Oh, that's great. She was smart. I'm hitting the mic here. She was smart. But then it started to happen. They were leaving nasty notes on her mailbox, go back to where you come from. They spray painted her garage, go back to where you come from, N-word. And they just kept doing stuff to her, kept doing stuff to her. Then they burnt the cross on her lawn. And this is probably maybe just 20 years ago. It seems like that's a long time ago, but that's just 2 decades. And eventually she moved because she feared for her life. So to this day, there are some neighborhoods where they will not show the house to a black person. It still exists. It still exists. So red lines still exist. Let's see. The next line is we are the victims of systemic racism in America's caste system. So I know you know all about racism, but the clincher is the American caste system. Now, everybody will say there's no such thing here, that's only in India, because it's the most famous caste system that we know about. Now, caste is a class system. So depending on what class you're in, that's where your standing is in the community or in the country. So if you're of a higher class, let's say wealthy class, And you know we have that here. If you're wealthy, you're the wealthy class. You're middle class, you're the middle class. If you're poor, you're the poor class. Class, caste, okay? The caste system is a class system. We are also a class system. So in this country, people usually look down on a person that's poor. They're poor. They live in a trailer, in a trailer, you know. They live in a mobile home park. That's the poor people. They live in a single wide. That's the poor people. And you don't even have to, they could be away from their home, but they can be in their car. If they have a raggedy, beat up car, they're looked down upon. Oh, they got a raggedy car. They're poor. We automatically, and I'm not even talking about color here, I'm talking about the class of wealth. So within these classes, they get divided up into color, whether you're of color, whether you're from another country. So if you're poor black, you're on the bottom of the list. You're at the bottom of the caste system. We're looked down upon more than any other class in this country. But here's the thing. You could be a wealthy black person. You can have millions, okay? And go into a store and somebody still looks at you with the side eye like you might steal something, only for the color of their skin. That's it. Nothing else. They can be highly educated and still be looked down upon because of the color of their skin. Even Barack Obama, if he were to walk down the street and people saw him on a corner, they would lock their doors because that black person may rob them, may try to carjack them. It's not right, but it's true. It is true. So yes, we do live in a caste system, and I'll stop right there with that one because that's another long conversation. Now let's see. Let's go down. Okay. We are the victims praying to see the day we can see, playing the day we can see without seeing the hatred we live in. It's about, I have some t-shirts that say free-ish since 1865. Free-ish, not completely free. Because we know that hatred for us still exists. Not from everyone. But we never know who it is that really hates us unless they say something or do something. And that's what they do more than anything else. They'll do something behind the scenes to keep us in the position we are. I've worked for myself most of my life, and I cannot tell you how many times I didn't get a contract because of the color of my skin. I always did excellent work. anywhere I go, I would do excellent work. And I've said this on this show before, but I have been in meetings where people would not shake my hand, would not look at me, would not speak to me, but they will speak to my white friend next to me. I would go places and immediately I could have me and one of my white employees with me. Automatically, they would look at him as the business owner and me as an employee. Why? Because of the color of my skin. Surely he can't be the boss. Surely he can't have a white person working for him. But I did. I did. But, you know, Caucasians in America don't have to experience that. They don't. It's a fact. They don't. But we do. And it's unfortunate. It's bad. I got living and dying for the color of our skin. Basically, that's self-explanatory. We're citizens of this country just like anyone else. But we get killed more than anyone else. Like it's an addiction. Just have to kill some black people. Just have to kill some black people. If I'm having a bad day, I'm going to kill some black people, or I'm going to kill some Asian people, or I'm going to kill Mexicans strictly because of the color of their skin. Woo-wee. Let's see. And that's about it. So we are victims, and we are still victims, and we are trying to make gains and trying to get the same rights that everyone else has in this country. But the reality is our rights are not the same because of the people that want to stop us from exercising the rights we should have in this country. And don't get me wrong, I love this country. I don't want to live anywhere else in the world. As I said, I worked for myself most of my life. I've had several businesses, and if I was somewhere else, if I was in Russia, I would not be able to start those businesses. If I get tired of a business, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm not enjoying it, I can start another business just like that. Just like that. But even when starting those businesses, I'm going to run into hurdles because of the color of my skin. It's plain and simple. I will. It's a fact. I know it. I expect it. I know how to head it off. Sometimes I come out on top. Sometimes I don't. Can't win them all, but I try. So that's basically it for that poem, Victims. Is there any questions from the audience? Does anyone have any comment or questions? Anything is fine. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm still smiling. I'm still good because I love you all. And we need to start learning to love each other and learn that we're not that different. Yes, Jill.
There's one person who's been in the audience for a while now that you haven't addressed.
Oh, who is that? Is that
Animal Loving Lady.
Animal Loving Lady? Welcome, Animal Loving Lady. I'm sure you have a lot of wonderful animals. Well, I hope you can find it in your heart, excuse me, to love me a little bit too. To be fabulous because I have love for you. And thanks for being here in the audience. And if you weren't at the beginning of the show, uh, thank you for being here because I deem you to be an everyday activist because you don't have to be here tonight. You have taken your time out to just come and check out the show to see what I'm talking about without anger. Um, and love, because I really do. I'm not one of those people, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, and don't mean it. Now, there's different degrees of love and all of that, but I'm not trying to hate anybody. I'm not. It's not me. It's not me now. And I'm not saying when I was younger, did I have some hatred in my heart? Yeah. Yeah, I did. But not now. I'm older. I've learned how to see with a different eye, how to love with a different heart. So, yeah, again, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. So, I think I'm going to start closing out this show. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So, so there's a couple of things I want to say. Let's get some music, outro music, so we know, or I know, the show is ending. One, I want you all till the next show, which will be on when's the next show? The 19th of this month. 19th of this month will be the next show at the same time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So on the 19th, I want to remind you all to try to be an everyday activist. If you see something wrong, try to say something. I don't want you to put yourself in danger. But you see something, say something. Try to say something. It will help. It'll help us. It'll help this country. It'll help you. So please. The other thing is, be love. Show love. Say hello to somebody you normally wouldn't say hello to, and smile. Try to see a different perspective. It helps a lot. And the other thing is, do something different. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you take a different route to work, if you go someplace different for lunch. Do something different in your life. Do it differently. And it'll help change your life. Something simple can help change your life for the better. Okay, so the music playing now is called Choral by 29 Beats. The music I played during the poem I wrote, the other poem, and anyway, the music with that one was called Air Action, and I know I'm going to screw this up, but the artist on that one was Koa Ru Zoxwood. Koaru Zoxwood, that's what it is. Koaru Zoxwood. He's from Japan. So that is his music, which was very nice. Again, I've already told you the next show is on the 19th of August, and that show is going to be called We Can Be This. And it's about change in this country. So I love you all. Until next time, I'm going to get rid of video. You'll still hear me because I am here. But